All right, let's take a look at these three questions here. The first one gives you a series of stack operations and simply asks you to answer the question, what is the top item on the stack after we're all done? So let's just walk through this line by line. Of course, we could also bring up a Python interpreter and type this in line by line and see what that shows us. But let's make sure that we understand how a stack really works. Okay, so first of all, we're going to create a stack. So we can think about creating an empty stack. And I'll just draw it over here so it looks something like this. So here's our empty stack, and we push the letter X onto the stack. So that gives us an X. Then we push a Y, and so we can just simply write that Y on top of the X, because remember, when we put things on a stack, it's like we're stacking up a stack of plates or a stack of boxes, and when we add something, it goes on the top. Now, the third thing that we hit here is this pop operation. So when we pop, that's like erasing, and so I don't have an eraser, but we'll just cross that out. Okay, so now our stack is down to just having an X on it. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to push a Z, so the Z goes where the Y used to be. So now we've got an X on the bottom, a Z on the top, and then peak just says what is, tells us what's on the top, and so peak is going to give us that Z. So in this case, the correct answer here is Z, and we are correct. All right, let's look at another one, given the following sequence of stack operations. So here again, we create an empty stack. So let's put our empty stack over here. All right, and then we're going to push X, and we're going to push Y, and we're going to push Z. So now we've got three things on the top. Now here, the only little twist is that we're making use of is empty, while not M is empty. So is empty is only going to return true when there's nothing left on the stack. So we're going to continue to pop things as long as our stack is not empty. So the first time through this loop, we'll pop the Z, and is empty will be false, so we'll do it again, and then we'll pop the Y, and then is empty will still be false, so we'll pop the X, and now is empty is going to return true. It's going to return true, so we'll fall out of that while loop, and then we'll try to call pop again. Now we have nothing left on the stack, and so this time when we try to call pop, that's going to give us an error, because you can't try to pop something off an empty stack. Okay, so finally now, let's see if we can apply this idea of a stack. And the idea is that we want to create a function called revString that uses a stack to reverse the characters in a string. So let's open that up, and let's get rid of this stuff on the side. All right, so if you think about it, what we're going to do is we're going to create a stack. We're going to loop over the characters in the string, one character at a time, and we're going to push them on the stack. So now notice what happens when we do that. When we create a stack over here, create a stack, and let's say that we're going to do this little example called of apple here. So we push A, then we push P, then we push P, then we push E, then we push E. Now, what happens when we pop them? Well, the first one we're going to pop is E. So if we pop an E and say we append that to the empty string, that comes off the stack. Then the next thing we'll pop is the L, comes off the stack. We'll pop a P, we'll pop a P, and we'll pop an A. And then we're empty, so we're done. So now look at what we have here is exactly what we want, is the reversed string. So the idea in this program is to create a stack, loop over the characters in the string, pushing them on one at a time. Then we're going to go back and we're going to employ this same pattern that we saw here while not is empty, we're going to pop things off the stack, but when we pop them off, we're going to append them to a string. So let's turn that into some code here and see how that works for us. Now notice that we've already got our code here to import our stack. So let's just call this my stack equals stack. Create a new stack. Now how do we loop over characters in a string? For ch in myster, we don't care about the index, we just care about the value of the character. So my stack dot push ch. Okay, so that will give us the stack that we want. Now we'll create our, call this revster equals the empty string, and then we'll say while not my stack dot is empty, revster equals revster plus, and what do we want? My stack dot pop. Remember that popping doesn't just take something off the stack and throw it away. The pop call returns the thing that's on the top of the stack, which in this case is a character, and so we can use string concatenation to append that to the end of the string. And when we're all done with that, we return revster. Okay, so if we go ahead and run this now, we've got our test cases set up, so hopefully we haven't made any mistakes, and we see that all of our test cases passed. Okay, so there's a little overview of how the stack works, and now we've exercised the stack and used it in some code in order to write a function that reverses a string.